When you're ready to start painting, you want to make sure that on your canvas you have everything nicely drawn out. You've erased anything that you don't want to be there. So don't just assume that, oh, I can always paint over it. If you have pencil lines anywhere that you don't like, just erase those before you start. As you can see, I've actually outlined some of mine with a thin Sharpie. It's totally up to you if you want to or not. I just want to have this black outline in some of my areas, and I don't want to have to worry about that with paint, so I just outlined some of those areas with a Sharpie. And on the back, you can see I have my name on the top. So you have to make sure that your name is written on the area that correlates to the top of your image, because then that's how we'll know where to hang it. So you have to make sure top of it has your name. Okay. Then you have your setup. So each advisory has been given an assortment of brushes, and you do have to share these. So don't just take all these brushes for yourself. Ideally, you're each going to have about 2 to 3 brushes. What kind of brush should you pick out? So these are small canvases, so not many of you are going to be using these big brushes. But these big brushes are really useful for large areas. So if you're going to be just painting your background, then that's where these bigger brushes are going to be useful for, because you don't need to worry about small details. But you may need a small brush for getting into little areas. So it's kind of intuitive. The smaller the area, the smaller the brush, the bigger the area, the bigger the brush. Be kind, share, don't hog, okay? But we just grab a couple of brushes. So I'm going to start with just these 2, and we'll put the others away. When you're using your brushes, before you started painting them, they can just sit down on your paper towel or on your plate. Once you've started and there's paint on them, and then you're waiting, or maybe you finish using that brush and you're just going to start using another one, you need to put it into the water, and it's just going to sit in the water like so. Okay. If you do not put it into the water, the paint is going to dry on your brush, and then it's going to be really hard to wash it off, and then you're going to ruin it, and next advisory, no one's going to be able to use this brush. So make sure it is in that cup of water. So now for our paint, and you can see I have a paper towel here to keep my area clean, where I'm going to actually paint on, which is right here. I have another paper towel over here, which I'm going to use to wipe off my brushes and to clean things off. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick the lightest color you're going to use. So if you're going to use just one color, then you're just going to use that one color. But find out whichever the lightest color you're going to use. Mine's going to be orange, so I'm going to use that. Squirt just a very small amount on your plate. That is literally all I need. These are very small canvases. There's no reason you need to use up this entire bottle, especially because you're sharing with your whole advisory. If for some reason you squirt a ton of paint, see if anyone else in your advisory needs that color and then share. Okay, don't let it go to waste, because once it's on this plate, you have to use it during advisory, and then it'll dry out and you're not going to be able to use it again. Grab your brush, dip it a little bit in this paint, and you can see I'm kind of working from the edge. What you don't want to do is just take this gigantic lump of paint and then apply it onto your canvas. More than likely it's too much, and you can see it's also dripping. If you've taken too much, just use your plate to wipe off the excess paint. Or you can also use your paper towel and wipe off paint on there. Okay, so I'll grab a bit of paint. And some of you may want to do multiple layers. Some of you may want to start to blend and do more advanced painting techniques, which is great. You can do that. You by no means need to. I kept my image pretty simple. So I just have my one little area right here that is orange. And that's actually it. That's all I'm using my orange for, so I definitely took way too much, and I should see if anyone else might need to use this. Or maybe I see if I can maybe add another area. Maybe I'll change my idea just because I took too much paint. Okay. So now I need to color these other ones also with some different colors. I don't need another brush. I can use this brush. So I'm going to grab my cup of water. I am going to swoosh my paintbrush around. Okay, you can see it's clean. Then I'm going to grab my paper towel, and I'm going to wipe off that water, and I'll proceed to my next color, which is going to be red. Grab the paint color when you need it. Don't go up and grab all the colors you're going to need, because advisory is a very short period of time, so just grab the color that you need for that thing that you're painting, and then go up and grab more paint. And you guys can see for how small these canvases are, I'm doing a relatively colorful one, but it's pretty hard to squirt any less paint than this. But as you can see, I've definitely taken more than I need. So really, please communicate with your advisory, see if other people need that paint color, so that it doesn't go to waste. So I'll go ahead and continue working on this painting, but I will speed it up so you can kind of just see the process of how to just paint a really basic image like this. As you can see, I kind of went and outlined things first, and then I just filled it in. Don't overthink it, guys. It can be pretty simple. If someone next to you has taken art class before and is making this like masterpiece of a canvas, don't compare yourself to them. This can look very graphic, this can look very cartoony. Just don't compare yourself to others and just do your best. Biggest thing, just try to stay in your lines. The biggest recommendation I have. So I'm going to wash off my brush, and then I'm going to proceed with the rest of my painting. So at this point, I don't have everything completed, but it's enough for you guys to see. Apologize, our room lights just turned off on me. Painting in the dark, not fun, but I'm just gonna keep going on. If you can see on my painting, I have kind of some smears here, and that's just a tendency of acrylic. It doesn't really apply very evenly. Be patient. All you need to do is just wait for it to dry, and because these canvases are so tiny, they're going to dry pretty fast. So you can either come back next advisory period and do a second layer, which is going to get rid of all of these brush strokes, or you can dip your brush in some of that paint and kind of just do these little tapping motions up and down, and it will create kind of this little bit of a texture. So then you kind of, it'll still look like those brush stroke smears, but at least this way it'll kind of look more intentional. But again, it just depends on what your actual image is. For mine, it makes sense because these little kind of, these texture pieces look like trees. To kind of, since it's an earth, it makes sense. But again, if you want it to be nice and smooth, just wait for it to dry and then you can do a second layer. And if you guys notice, right, I did start with light colors and then I did the darker ones in this area, but then I washed my brush off and I started doing the lighter colors here. Okay, blue, and I'm going to be doing blue here, blue and green, kind of the same in terms of value, so it doesn't really matter that I didn't do which one I started with there. In addition, you guys with the background can decide if you want to leave it white or if you want to paint it. If you are going to paint it, I probably recommend you do it first, unless you're going to do a very dark color, because you always want to start with the light colors. So if your background is a light color, start with that first before you paint anything else. If your background is a dark color, do that last. I'm leaving mine white, okay? If you do get a lot of pencil smudges around all of yours and you can't erase them, I recommend you paint over those then, rather than just leaving them white, because it's not going to look the best when we put that on display. Okay, so now I am basically done. I could go back, I could do more layers, and if you noticed as I was painting, I did go back, I did second layers on certain things, I was fixing things up. If you go outside of your lines, one easy fix, wait for it to dry, go back, outline it with a Sharpie. That will always work. Also, you may be looking at it, you're like, Mrs. Surin, this is a globe. Why did you not add snow over there? Why are there no mountain ranges over here? It's a globe. Keep it simple. Right? So main thing is, if you do not have much painting experience or art experience, simplify your image. Don't look at what other people are doing. Yes, I could have gone all crazy with the details here, but for the sake of time and to not freak any of you guys out with painting, I was just doing a very simple image. Okay, so don't worry if you don't have to have as much detail as maybe other people have. If you want to do more intricate things, I have resources uploaded to Blackboard where you guys can watch some more demo videos about blending, about color mixing, all of that. For this video, I wanted to keep it really nice and simple. So again, if you went outside the lines, don't panic. Don't freak out. Wait for it to dry. See if you can outline it. If it's a really bad mess up, grab your paper towel and see if you can maybe wipe an area off, fix it that way. If that doesn't work, get creative. Can you paint something maybe on top of it? Can you add something else in there? Okay, don't freak out if it didn't turn out exactly how you hoped. Just get creative and see what how you can transform a mistake into just another part of your image. Additionally, I want to talk to you guys about the edges. Totally your call if you want to paint those or not. If you are painting your background, I guess you might as well paint the edges. It's not going to be required. If you're leaving yours white, then you definitely don't have to paint the edges. The canvases, the way we're hanging them up, they're all going to be stacked next to each other, so you're not actually going to be able to see the sides really, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, I think that is it. Hopefully you guys are okay now and comfortable to start painting. Last, what I want to show you is cleanup. So just how we've been cleaning up our brushes, that's how you're going to clean them up at the end of advisory. You can see my water is already pretty dark, but you shouldn't have used so much paint that your water just turns to like mush. But you are going to swish your brush around in the water. You will grab your paper towel. If you use multiple brushes, you're going to do this with multiple brushes. And you're going to wipe off your brush on your paper towel. If nothing comes off, and it's just clear water, you have properly cleaned your brush. If something comes off, that means you did not do it properly. You need to do this again. Then someone in your advisory is going to collect the water, or you're going to dump it. At the end of the day, you need to all store your brushes either laying flat on a table somewhere or standing up in a cup. Do not take the brushes and put them down and store them down in a cup, because those bristles are going to get bent and then they're going to get ruined, and once again see, when I bent mine, some paint came off. I failed at cleaning. Try that again. But if you leave them bent, then they will get ruined when they dry, and then again, next advisory you won't have good brushes to use. There we go, nice and clean.